who's struggling with depression. Talk to them about temporarily storing their guns away from their home. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them, perhaps on a date, and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seating Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Still keeping it local here. Again, apologies, no Royals on the airwaves tonight as we are still working on getting the right parts we need to get that back again. Storm wasn't kind to us, wasn't kind to...
Not at all.
Yeah, wasn't kind to a lot of services. Wasn't kind to your internet, wasn't kind to your electric, was not kind to our tower. So we're all working through it here. But on the bright side, we do got some great tech guys here, and we can get that stuff, I believe, sorted out here pretty quickly. And if we're lucky, maybe even by the end of tonight. But with that being said, we got Jeffrey Callhoun joining me to my left. Jeffrey, how's it going on a Monday? First week of NFL preseason is come and gone away. It was fantastic.
Ton of fun.
Volleyball is up and going. We had the Husker red and white scrimmage sold out, I believe, as well. Packed house. Plenty of fans are excited. And first time you really got to go watch, what is this going to look like with Bus Boom Kelly? And of course, first time you got to see what do these new situations look like in the NFL. So, Jeffrey, what's on top of your mind? What do you want to get into?
Honestly, volleyball has definitely been at the top of my mind, but knowing me, it always is.
Rightfully so. We're in Nebraska. So.
Oh, yeah. And, that scrimmage was a ton of fun. I sadly didn't get the chance to watch it because I was dealing with power outages. But
that's right. Yeah, that's unfortunate for a lot of people.
So, it was out most of the day, but, it was cool to see. The score was really, really close. I'm trying to remember exactly what the scores were. I know, the final overall score was 3-1. But in between, for each set, I think the score was razor thin. I think it was 25, 21, 25, 23 every time, which is what you really, really like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I think about, okay, I'm pulling up this final score here. Yeah. So Team Red beat Team White. First 3 sets, 25-23, 25-23, 25-22. And then they played a 4th set and the white team won 25-17. So my guess is red team took their foot off the gas. They had already won, but you really like to see these games be close. I mean, I vividly remember, I think it was the first spring game for Husker football. Like the final score was like 40-14.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first kind of thought of like, this is not good. Like you don't want to see your team blowing out yourself. Like you want it to be even. So I really like that happened. And I mean, the defense, the defense on both sides looked really, really strong. I mean, both teams hit below 200, which Nebraska doesn't do against anybody,
right,
except themselves. But both teams had almost, both teams had at least 49 kills. Both teams had at least 55 digs. Both teams had at least 10 blocks. Like they played well against each other, just looking at these scores. And it looks like players were able to get a lot of playing time, was able to get switched around. So everything I've seen, I like it. Like I like it a lot for the Huskers.
Yeah, that's what you hope for.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I always use Jay Foreman as a guy who played in college football and NFL to kind of verify my thoughts and beliefs. And, he talks about the Osborne era, when those guys, there's days the offense would have the best. Then they would take care of the defense and then it'd flip. And then the defense, sometimes in the same practice, it would flip. And sometimes it didn't flip. It was just dead even the entire time. And then time ran out. Nobody ever got the better hand at the very end of the day. You don't want a team that's just bullying, the lesser talented people, or in football, an offense that's just bullying the defense, because as annoying as it is and as cliche as it is, you hear it all the time. Iron does in fact sharpen iron.
Oh,
you need competition, 100%. Elite competition. You need the people who are gunning for your spot to make you not ever, take it for granted. You kind of want to be always holding your breath, ready to keep performing and prove your spot and why you're the starter, because a good competitive team, like they're always reaching. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the season or end of the season. Like those guys are making you better, because whether they want you spot this season or they're planning to take over down the road eventually, or even when you graduate, like they see themselves in the role that those stars are playing in. So you want to see that kind of fiery, hungry back and forth. And what about the style? Did anything really stick out that was different, or did it look much like the John Cook style that we always see?
I didn't get to watch as much as I really wanted to. But just based off the stats, it
kind of felt like John Cook.
Yeah, it felt, especially with that lower pace of play. But, I was also just looking, just out of curiosity, the lowest, as I said, one team's hitting percentage was, I believe, 189. I'm sorry, one was 186, one was 190. And I'm looking to see when the Huskers hit below 186 last year. And it looks like, from everything I'm seeing, it only happened once the entire season.
Penn State?
No, SMU.
Oh, that's right. That
SMU,
doesn't surprise me.
They hit 171. Yeah.
And that sounds about right when I remember that game.
And that's the thing is, so, even in that loss against Penn State, they hit 262. And, I'm sorry, scratch that. The first loss against Penn State, they hit 154. The second loss, they hit 262. But that's the thing is, like, you're going up, even though you're winning, you're going up a team again. You go up against teams like Kentucky, like Arizona State, like Stanford, like USC, like Wisconsin, and you're doing better against them than you are against yourself.
Yeah.
And that, it's like, okay, these teams playing against each other did worse than every opponent they played last year, except one of the weirdest upsets in Husker history and the national champion. So, like, that to me is a good sign. Like, when it's like, okay, these teams are holding each other, like, down.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I'm impressed with the defense, genuinely. To see both teams hitting that low is weirdly impressive. Like, the fact that they were that close in hitting percentage, but they were still able to get that many kills, that many digs, that many blocks is impressive. I'm really liking what I'm seeing so far from the Huskers.
Especially when, the offenses looked legit. Didn't look like they were just, kind of loafing out there. It didn't look like the defense had it easy. It looked like both defenses were sweating, working, trying to keep up. So I'm super intrigued by it. It gives me, a lot of good signs. We'll see if the style changes more. Again, it's pretty early, and it might even be like a couple of years before we start to notice like significant differences because that John Cook culture is still there. And it's going to take time. I mean, that's why Mike Riley started off 7-0 because the culture was still there.
That's true.
It wasn't because Mike Riley was 7-0. It's because the culture was 7-0.
Person, please don't ever compare Danny Busboom Kelly to Mike Riley ever again. That's really mean. That's really mean.
Mike, when Mike Riley's such a nice guy.
He is a great guy. But from a coaching perspective.
Yeah, I went south. And he knew it. And I remember, I'll never forget his press conference. He was nice and kind. He's like, I understand pretty much. Like, he wasn't just sitting there. I'm obviously paraphrasing, but that was kind of vibe. Like, I get it. This is not working. 7-0 looks great. It's going super south right now. Appreciate the opportunity. I'm out of here. So we'll see. I don't think Busboom Kelly is a much different hire than Mike Riley. We are hiring person who is a known winner, who has been winning at a very high level. We didn't go back. Well, you can make an argument we went backwards, but Louisville made it the exact same distance Nebraska did last year. So if anything, we moved laterally.
I mean, no, Louisville made it farther. They made it.
Oh, that's right. They made it to the Natty. So they did make it farther.
You could argue they had pretty even seasons because they both lost to Penn State. Louisville made it farther in the bracket, but Nebraska did beat them in the regular season. But I'm nitpicking.
But you get the point of even if it's a lateral higher or a step lower, which I don't really think it is, time will tell. It's not us going from a coach who's winning 9 games to a coach who's only won 9 games twice.
Exactly.
At a weaker conference on top of all of that. So that, say that with tongue in cheek. Like, I do expect Busboom Kelly to be a good coach. Time will tell. That is the ultimate test, if that consistency and how much of it's the John Cook culture. But I do believe that she's got her own culture to install, and it might be pretty damn similar to what it already is.
Right.
Because again, John Cook player, you kind of saw it. There's a little bit different at Louisville, but she knows what Nebraska volleyball is and looks like. And if that's what's been working, who knows how much she really wants to be different and transform it to what she had over there in Louisville. Anything left to add on that red-white scrimmage? I will say shout out to everybody who went out there. It was great to see the support.
Especially with how bad the weather was.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Power was out citywide, because I ended up just getting out of the house and I do Uber deliveries on the side, and the amount of stoplights and stuff that were out around the city too, it was bad.
That's always nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
When you got stoplights that are out because you're like, I don't know. Hopefully, because every now and then too, knuckleheads will be driving in the night without their headlights on. And when you're on a stoplight, I'm always, in the back of my head, I'm like, there's gonna be that knucklehead right now without his headlights on while the traffic stoplights are all out. So hopefully everyone made out there safe. I know there was one tragic accident, unfortunately, and then obviously property. We got pretty beaten up there, but shout out to LES crew and all the emergency services, because that's a lot to do.
Especially, because again, it wasn't even one terrible night of storms and it was done. The second night it wasn't as bad, but it was still pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know who set off Mother Nature like that, but
no, it was crazy.
They must have apologized because she's cooled off as of late.
But
yeah, that's all I got on that Husker red-white volleyball scrimmage. I know we've had some new movement as well in the volleyball world.
Yeah. Since you and I last talked, when you and I last talked about professional volleyball, Merritt Beeson had just gotten announced as a signee for the Supernovas. And I believe while we were on air, Sydney Hilly and Morgan Hens and then Emily Londot got signed on. But the Supernovas have tacked on a few other big name players. The biggest ones that I've noticed were first Brooke Nuneviller, one of the best players for this team. She's been there the entire time the Supernovas have been around, which is very rare in this league to have a player stay with you the entire time. I mean, Nebraskans love her. She is one of the best players on this team. She's got a ring, very happy to have her back. And then they're going after Nebraska college products really, really hard. Again, obviously, Merritt Beeson, former Nebraska Cornhusker.
There's a pipeline.
And then they nabbed both Nora Sis and Elise Getzinger out of Creighton. Nora Sis was with the Orlando Valkyries last year, got drafted to them, free agency, moving back to Omaha. And then Elise Getzinger spent her final year of college eligibility at Creighton after spending a ton of time at Kentucky. She did not go to the draft last year after her season. My guess is to finish her education because it was really side story. It was really funny. So I called a game for her last year because Mizzou played them. And I'm looking through her bio and I'm like, okay, she was with Kentucky for 4 years. She won a natty with them. I don't understand why she left. And then I noticed in like her notes that she is a biochemistry major. And I'm like, okay, so that's why she went to Creighton.
Yeah.
Like, obviously great volleyball school, but like the science and the medical fields there, spectacular.
Mhm.
So my guess is she went there to finish out schooling. And now that she is done, presumably going to the Novas, and it's a huge pickup. Like, it is a huge pickup. She was an absolute terror in both the Big East and the SEC in, getting a national championship with Kentucky, in Creighton's incredible season last year. I mean, one of the best that the Blue Jays have had in a long time. She's a great addition for the Supernovas.
And the Supernovas, it's just good. You want great players on
Right.
the Supernovas because
Mhm.
Supernovas, let's be honest, they're kind of the money makers right now.
Yeah.
Some teams definitely are making that. It's not like they're all just losing money. Some of them are definitely got better crowds than others, but it's pretty well known at this point that Supernovas so far have been the best crowd.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
I'll say probably some of the cooler uniforms too.
Yes.
They got some sick colorways. I'm
They
a big fan.
They got some, their standard ones obviously are great. And then those, the bat uniforms that they dropped last year, those are so sick.
I wouldn't mind, getting some Supernovas gear just because those colorways, obviously Omaha, rep out, the only pro team that we have. But yeah, because love volleyball's pro as well. So you can count them. It's a little bit different version because it's not like pro, like an NBA or NFL schedule, like the Supernovas, the Major League Volleyball. Now that it's together with, I'm blanking on it. It was, what was the other one? It was Pro Volleyball Federation.
Yeah.
That's right. Pro Volleyball, not with the merger, it's just Major League Volleyball, but they're going to follow like a pro schedule, like you would see in the NBA, the NFL. Obviously, not as many games as the NBA, but you're going to see a schedule as the loves different. Still pros in their case, though. But I want to ask you this: Supernovas, they're kind of back in the mix. I'm hoping we've talked about before that the kinks are out of the way. Who becomes profitable first? Volleyball, pro volleyball, or WNBA?
Yeah, it's got to be WNBA. I mean, and I think it's purely longevity based. Major League Volleyball, it's going into its third season. WNBA has been around for 23 years. And I think, how do I word this? I think it's easier for neutral, uninvested fans to watch the WNBA than it is volleyball right now. I have a lot of friends who don't have a WNBA team. There's a market for people who don't have WNBA teams, but that just like to watch the WNBA. I don't think pro volleyball has hit that market just yet. And you add in the fact that there's less teams. I just, all of the turmoil and stuff like that's going to cost money. I think it is going to be WNBA pretty easily in terms of profit first.
I think so too. The only thing that would give me the Major League, why I'd give them the edge is it's just smaller.
That's fair.
More condensed. It's easier to manage. The WNBA, we've talked about it before. It's like, it's going to be hard to make money if you guys want to schedule these games at wacko times.
And if
fair. They don't figure that out, pro volleyball might beat them to the punch if they kind of don't figure out where they can fit into the market, especially when they're in the most dead period of sports. It feels like they should really be able to exploit prime time. But I don't know if they just don't have the confidence in buying out those primetime slots or making deals, with those major networks, and those major networks are still hesitant. That's kind of the problem for them. And until they cross that bridge, it's just, you're going to be leaning on a few cities to really carry everything, where it's great if you can put the fever on primetime, but if you only put the fever on primetime, well, that's your market. Is if we can get the fever there, great. If not, we'll just put them at noon.
Well, and the thing is too, with Major League Volleyball pending, they kind of go with the same kind of scheduling process they did last year. They didn't have a lot of overlaps.
Yeah, and a lot of night games, prime time, which was super nice. I remember when DP and Rico and I'm blanking on the coach, Saunders was out there, and they were calling games together, and it was always good times. It was prime time. It was when people were off work, people wanted to go watch something. There wasn't anything really in the way from preventing people to watch the game, unless there was some other sport they wanted to watch. But at least they're off work. They can go to it. They're not trapped. The average person, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's to me where they do have an advantage, is they figured out the scheduling a lot better in my mind.
And I think, the thing is too, like, if they had multiple games on the same day, they'd put the West Coast games, so, the Vegas and the San Diego games, they put them last.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have, 9:00 our time first serves, but, it's 7:00 out there. And the only days, as I'm kind of reminiscing on the schedule, really the only days where they played more than 2 games was Saturdays and Sundays. And I honestly don't remember last year ever having more than 2 games on at once. And most of the time when that happened, it's because like the earlier game went into 5 sets or something. Like they were very, very good at breaking up the scheduling. And I mean, I just, that is one thing I think I can agree with you on, is their scheduling process is much, much better.
Yeah, but to your point, I think the WNBA can reach it faster.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a few areas they got to fix. But if they can fix that, then, I think the road's paved with gold for them to finally break through and get rid of that comment that's, I'm sure, it's just annoying the hell out of anybody who's played in the WNBA or coached or watches the WNBA. Like, it takes time for leagues to make money. You get tired of hearing it when, it's been a while and you still haven't broke that barrier.
Right.
Like I said, they got to fix a few things to finally cross that barrier, because now it feels like they have the talent. And I shouldn't say now they have the talent, but they have talent that, because of the era we're in and the amount of coverage we have, it allowed a person like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Beckers to really thrive, because, people just weren't showing a lot of women's sports before because it was so limited, especially in the era of cable. It's like you're really pressing to get your stuff anywhere because there's only a few channels back in the day. And now today it's streaming's just allowed such another level. And then you saw that with volleyball numbers being ridiculous at the college level, basketball numbers being ridiculous at the college level. In fact, beating out the men's numbers, softball doing crazy numbers as well.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Competing against, the College World Series. So like, it's not like it's a far dream to say, well, these guys can't become profitable. We've come to an era where they're starting to realize, like, hey, what do you know? If we give people the background, they're a little more intrigued. So that's what I mean by, like, now it doesn't mean they never had those athletes, but now they at least have those athletes where people know the story and the coverage for it. Does the Pro Volleyball Federation have an all-star break? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Or Major League Volleyball?
Yeah. Last year was their first all-star game. Hold on. Yeah. So they had a break. It wasn't long. They had a break from February 20th to the 23rd. So it was like 3 days. And then the all-star game was February 22nd. But yeah, I mean, if you were like, okay, let me rephrase that. The break really was the 20th through the 27th. And then there was one game on the 23rd. So if you were on Atlanta or Columbus, that got a little dicey for you, but there was a little bit of a break for pretty much everybody else.
How would you make that exciting? Like, would you do anything more than just like the one game where you're going against stars? Because we've gotten to the point where these they become all-star weekends where we try to get candy and eyes on it. And we try to get everybody to lock in on, like, okay, who are the all-stars?
I think you definitely can. I mean, especially considering, like,
and it's new, so I do understand why they haven't.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also, I think that volleyball players more than most other sports would be open to doing additional skills challenges and stuff, because I mean, in volleyball, like,
It'd be cool. Put a speedometer on it, like who's got the fastest serve.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's things like, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I don't want to say volleyball is a non-contact sport, but like basketball, football, baseball, and hockey, like, you're going to be physically hitting other players to varying degrees. But volleyball, there is quite literally a barrier between you and the other team. So unless, like, you get hit in the head with a ball, or you come down awkwardly, or it's a buildup of other stuff, like, you're not going to get injured as much. Like, you're not going to get clocked like you would in a basketball game and get injured. So, you're not worried about really getting injured in the All-Star game. So I think, they'll be more likely to be like, yeah, I'd love to do some extra physical stuff because I'm not going to be as worried about injuries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it'd just be fun. What events would you put in there is what I'm trying to figure out, because it is a little bit more unique. I'm trying to think, because obviously in the basketball, it's like, what are the skills we want to feature? Well, shooters, playmaking, although they got to fix that skills challenge. It's hot. Yeah. It's hot garbage. Nobody cares. I hate to say it, and they keep it year after year after year. But what would you add? Like, if you got to run it?
I think a serve accuracy challenge, something like that could be really cool. Like kind of similar to like the 3-point contest, like do something like see how many like serves you can get like in like a certain like square or something. I think, the WNBA skills challenge last year where they basically had to do like an obstacle course. Like I think they could do something very, very cool with volleyball like that. Like you have to, I don't know the exact ins and outs you could do, but like there's definitely a lot you could do there. And I think just turning it into kind of an event like the WNBA did with the All-Star game last year could be really, really cool. Like, genuinely like have fun with it, make it a fun weekend for these players, like get eyes on it. I mean, have players that, are loved on social media go live on Instagram for 72 hours. Like,
give them control of the account.
Like Missy Scheidemann did.
Go stream on the Major League Volleyball account.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's ways they could do it. And I think that their first few years, how do I word this? I think when we look back in 20 some years, I will say that despite this turmoil, the first 3 years that Major League Volleyball PVF has had is better than the WNBA's. Now, granted, apples and oranges, different sports, different eras, but I think that Major League Volleyball is starting off on a good note. If they can just keep this going, they'll be golden.
And it gives me a lot of hope that it feels like they're kind of, when we talk about it, and maybe I see too much, but I'm glad that hurdle's done with.
Yeah,
it felt like that
too.
Hurdle was just killing both leagues, and I was like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
like get along.
Like
you guys are just burning each other. It's like you're fighting fire with fire.
Exactly.
All you're going to end up with ashes if you keep going this way, and no one's going to have a damn thing at the end of the day because all you guys did was burn everything up. So I'm glad they crossed that bridge.
Yeah.
And I think there's reasons to be optimistic. Like I said, I know the All-Star game, I'm just curious about it, and I know it's super early, but just think volleyball is one of the unique ones where you could do a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
Who's got the most accuracy, figure out test for that power, figure out test that, and defender. Like those are 3 skills that figure out a way to test that, and you could be a little creative with it, whatever you want to do. But I think just give people more insight to the kind of freak athletes that you're dealing with in today's volleyball world. Like you want to highlight how insane some of these are. Even vertical, I think that'd be a fun one. Like figure out, the highest leapers, who they are. And because some of those girls,
it's insane.
Put me to shame, because was never a high leaper, but some of these chicks are just, they look like they could throw down a windmill as high as they get at times.
I mean, I vividly remember like the craziest one was outside hitter for Arkansas and then Orlando and then Columbus. Jillian Gillen, she's like 5'10".
Yeah.
If that, maybe
jumps
5'8".
out of the freaking
Oh my gosh.
gym.
It made me so mad because I called a game for her my freshman year, which was before Don Sullivan showed up as the coach. So Mizzou was, we were bad, like embarrassingly bad. And watching this like girl that was like the height of some liberos just like, jump and be above some of Mizzou's like 6'4" middle blockers or outside hitters. I'm like, dude, calm down. Like you are playing the worst team in the SEC. You don't need to be doing all this. Like, I
think she just does it because it's fun. I would do it too. If I could jump
especially
that
in a
high,
rivalry game. Yeah. Like
I'm going to definitely do that every time.
And again, she's 5'10" and she's a seasoned pro. Like, yeah, but just some of those verticals, it's terrifying to see.
And it's cool to see at the same time. So like we said, I'm optimistic about both of them.
Yeah.
I think the volleyball's got a little more straightened out as what they want to do. And the WNBA, they're still figuring it out. But at the bright side, I think both of those professional organizations, they got the right players to do it. But that being said, we'll throw it to break here. We'll keep talking about money and leagues and being profitable and getting wins because we got Troy Dannon talking about money as well, and kind of what all that means with 1080 and the third parties, NIL, all that stuff. Troy Dannon gives us some more insight what that really looks like. So don't go anywhere. Take a Weeknights. Jeffrey Callhoun, Harrison Arens.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service, but it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey racing fans, this is Brie Marie inviting you to join me and James Rowland for the Finish Line every Sunday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Catch up with the local dirt track drivers, national racers, and everyone you need to know about in the world of racing. Don't spin your wheels, hit the gas, and join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for the Finish Line on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
In Nebraska, we show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in segment number 2. Jeff Callhoun, Harrison Arens, switching it up here. Still talking about money, but we're going to be talking about Husker money and athletics, and as well as we might leak into the Husker football program as well. We got some quotes from Troy Dannon. We also got some quotes from Rule. I'll go solo for the hour after, and we'll do a deeper dive on Husker football and get more of the comments from Matt Rule. But the first thing I want to start with is the stadium. What are your thoughts on Nebraska's need to revamp the stadium? Because you've been to a Husker game, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've been going to Husker games.
So what's your experience? Like, well, just tell me about it and give it like a fan grade, a 1 through 10 grade?
Honestly, 10. And I mean, I've gotten the chance to go to a solid number of stadiums. I've been to 5 college football stadiums for games. I've been to Nebraska, I've been to Kansas, I've been to Mizzou, I've been to Georgia, and then I kind of like
been to Georgia?
Yeah.
What's that one like?
It's a lot of fun. There are a few problems with it though. First of all, I think that Georgia fans just simply aren't as passionate. I mean,
apathy
I don't
for
know
winning.
what it is. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, I went during the 2021 season. So it was kind of at the beginning of that. Like, listen, it was a fun game, but the big thing I noticed, honestly, is the actual architecture of the stadium isn't that good.
Really?
From a visual standpoint, it's solid, but it's weird. You know, when you go to a Husker game, all of the sound just goes down.
Yes.
Like, I mean, just starts roaring
It's
onto
the
the
bowl.
field. Yeah, but Georgia is, I don't know exactly what it is with the architecture. I think it's just the big thing is it's not as steep. So it feels like the sound is almost like escaping. Like,
Yeah, that's a huge favor because we have that theater seating.
Mhm.
We're really steep theater seating
Yeah.
at that. And we pay for it
Mhm.
at the suffer of like a little bit less room. But me as I'm coming in there at like $1.80. I don't really care. I can squeeze into a
Yeah.
gap. I can see how some people and like, especially if you're just a big guy, broad shoulders or works out every day and you're walking in, you're like just huge and you're 250. Like, you might be a little bit uncomfortable, but the atmosphere is a 10. The stadium is, I mean, we got troughs. I can't give the stadium a 10. If you go to the men's bathroom, you're not
That's fair.
taking a leak in the urinal. You're taking a leak in the trough with
Yeah, trough,
everybody
yeah.
else. So I'm not too classy for the trough. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to act like it's state of the art. But I do say it's a good stadium.
Yeah.
How much? Like, do you like the idea of putting a bunch of money into it?
I mean,
and revamping it.
Listen, they're always going to be putting money into it, and I guess like I haven't checked in a while. What's like the update with like the seat reduction?
Paused.
Okay,
So it's the
good.
Southside Stadium. Well, let's just go ahead and let's get this because Troy Dan talks about this. I want to get, that's what I was asking. I want to see if you're disappointed. Okay, didn't really care about it. There's Troy Dan talking about the stadium project.
A lot of people are interested in speaking of the stadium and where the Memorial Stadium project is at. I would tell you status quo. A couple of things. When I say we're continuing to plan, in a normal time, a stadium project like this, all of this work would be done without anyone knowing we're doing it. But the fact that the project was out there in the public, approved to some degree in planning by the board, I think everybody's waited for the next step. We're continuing, basically looking at east, west, north, and south in totality. This week, the chancellor sent a note out talking about.
Real quick, I got to pause that. We had 1.1 from the South Stadium, and now I just thought that cracked me up. And it's like we're looking at the South, West, East, North. So the whole stadium.
The whole stadium.
Yeah.
Like
you gave the whole compass there. So we get you're working on the whole
maybe
thing.
those little scoreboards in the corners they're gonna leave alone, but
They're- yeah.
everything else.
If you go southeast, north, if you go
that is the whole
diagonally,
thing.
you're not getting anything. That part just cracked me up.
It is
'Cause
kind of funny.
I did think it was just the South Side for a long time, but he does clarify. Maybe
Right.
They're looking at the whole thing. Here's the rest of it.
This week, the chancellor sent a note out talking about the structural deficit of the university. The president's spoken about some of the system-wide financial issues. There's going to be a lot of trauma ahead. We're not going to take anything to the board for their approval, and I don't know when we will. But the time is not now in the midst of what I would almost level some degree of crisis on campus, consternation at the very least, crisis at the very most. Now's not the time to debut a big capital project.
I like that from Troy Dannon.
Mm-hmm.
He's being smart about it because you just said it yourself. The stadium's great.
Yeah.
Is there certain features of it that I would like revamped? Yeah. Do I have a blast when I go regardless? Absolutely. It's still an electric. So, you may want a little bit of updates, but I think it's just very wise. Like, listen, there's a lot going on right now. Let's not just throw we'll start a major project right now. We can make all the plans for it. We can keep talking about it, working about it, refining it. And it's not like it's off our minds, but we're not going to go ahead and start dumping the money into it right now. And as you mentioned, I don't know when I'm even going to go up to the board yet.
Yeah,
to get this approved.
And I mean, the big thing is, like, I remember when it got announced that I think the stadium was going to get reduced to what, like 75,000
With Trev,
like
yeah, that was with Trev.
People were not happy.
I
like,
wasn't
at all, because it's like genuinely, why? Like, if anything, we need more spots because the capacity is what? Like, official capacity is like 89,000, I think.
Yeah,
88,000, something like that. But, volleyball day showed could squeeze about 3,000 more in there. 92,003.
Yeah, 92,000.
92,003.
Yeah.
But, like, if anything, the stadium needs to be bigger. It's like, it frankly, the reduction felt like a greedy move, honestly, to be like, oh, we're gonna, basic economics, we're gonna decrease the supply, so demand's gonna go up. Like, what are we doing? And it felt like a poor decision. And I do like that Dannon is like, this is not like the top of our concerns. Like, me personally, out of all the college football stadiums I've been to, it's my personal favorite. And like, I say that with zero bias in mind. Like,
yeah, you're a Missouri kid.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I love Mizzou. We talked about it the other day. If it comes down to it, I'm cheering for Mizzou over Nebraska. But Memorial Stadium laps Memorial Stadium. Memorial Stadium laps Faurot Field, even though it's called Memorial Stadium. It laps it 10 out of 10 days. I mean, easily. I think that Memorial Stadium is one of the best stadiums in the country, even with, the janky bathrooms. And it's like, okay, you just hired a new volleyball coach. You have a soccer team that is really starting to build a good culture.
And I think they're finally getting that track and field done, which has been put on pause forever.
And that's a good program. It's like,
well, it's also like, you've had a lot of kids in that program whose parents are still waiting for a home meet.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a home field for
Exactly.
track. So you've just been having to do everything on the road. It's a disadvantage for those guys. And I think for Dan, it's like, what's obviously football is king in terms of profit, but we can't just give the middle finger to all these other programs who've been waiting in the back seat for a while now.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, yes, football is the most profitable sport easily at basically every university you go to. That being said, in that same breath, any renovations you do, it's going to be way more expensive for football than anything else. And honestly, the renovation was, I believe, $450 million estimated. If you reallocate that money, give 50 mil to track and field, give 150 mil to volleyball, 25 mil to soccer. Like,
some of those programs can completely rechange everything with 5% of that.
Oh, yeah, easily. And that's the thing is, like, you could create one of the best tracks in the conference, one of the best soccer pitches in the conference with, again, 5-10% of that money. And it's like, would it be cool to have renovations done at the stadium? Yeah, but it's also going to be the most expensive. It's going to be the most time consuming. And it's also, right now, it's simply not necessary.
Yeah, right now, what's necessary is win.
Yeah.
Like, we need to win. And if we start winning, it'll be a lot easier to pay for this stuff.
And
I think that's what his whole message has been.
And the thing is, too, a lot of times people do stadium renovations to get more people into the stands. Like, as I said, I went to KU Stadium. That place needed a revamp. Like, that was a bad stadium when I went there. But listen, Nebraska football has had a lot of problems. Getting people in the stands has never been one of them. So, he's right. It's not necessary.
Yeah, they still showed up after Georgia Southern.
Exactly.
That's a hell of a fan base.
They sold out the game after Georgia Southern.
Now, I understand boosters bought up the remaining seats, but it's still a pretty packed house in there. And, like, I don't care when the booster people can always throw that stone where it's not legit. And I'm like, technically, no, but the fact that boosters can buy up just a few remaining seats, like, that's impressive in itself, that people are showing up after getting, beaten by Georgia Southern. They're still showing up to watch that team. And at that point in time, it was all doubt. Nobody even thought it was going to work, and they still showed up to watch the players. So it's like, to your point, that's never been the problem. The problem has been the wins. And without the wins, money's harder to come by. You get the wins, you get the money. All of a sudden, now you can get really crazy with it. And we did just go insane with the facilities in itself. So the stadium, right after what we did with the training table, and a lot of it for football, but that whole area is just really retooled for a lot of this, all the student athletes. Like, this is, to me, just feels like the responsible move. Like, let's hold our breath here. Let's focus on wins. And again, like some of those other programs, like I know swim and dive. You ever go to a swim and dive meet?
I haven't, no.
hold your breath. It's humid. It smells like chlorine. It's like steamy in there because the ventilation's kind of struggling.
That sounds about right.
So, and I'm always like, I never like the idea of like, we're having a program just because we need it. You're going to have the program. You need to care for that.
Take some pride in it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
Like genuinely.
And I'm not saying like all these ADs never have, like maybe it's been really tough for them. Again, you get boosters and they want to donate, but they're like, only if you give it for football. So there is always that element to it as well.
That bothers me. Like, I'm going to be so real. That's always bothered me. Like, that's what's happening at Missouri right now.
It's what happens at every college football booster. Anytime you're getting donations, that's going to be a big time request. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately, for all the other programs. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just the one that brings in the money. But I do like this from Dana. We'll hear more from Dana on the other side. We got to throw the break here. Don't go anywhere. More Ticket Weeknights coming up ahead.
Hi, Sean Callhoun here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Play ball! Pitch the perfect idea for a family outing or date night with tickets to the next Salt Dogs game. Nothing says summer fun like an action-packed evening at Haymarket Park. Come root for the home team with a hot dog and a cold drink. Plus, visit saltdogs.com to learn about special events and promotions, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the thrill and excitement of a Salt Dogs win. Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.3333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Ticket Weeknights, Harrison Arens, Jeffrey Callhoun. You guys are always welcome to join in, even if it's a negative. Let's get to a few people here who are just having some really, really bad Mondays here. We got female KC Royals fan from Nebraska. I understand you're upset about the Royals. It is not by choice that we are not airing the Royals tonight. Again, message out there for you guys. Mother Nature's undefeated. She went 2-0 in a matter of 2 days in a row. We are working on that. We love airing the Royals for you fans out there. So I always ask that you be patient. Like I said, can't control the weather. If you do know how to do that, hit us up. We'd be happy to know how. And then Husker Country, upset I can't give my tickets away, eliminate rows and seats. Not happy with the rows and seat selection. My whole point of that is you get the money, and then you can not only get rid of the rows and seats, you can also expand and put more money into it. I understand some people don't like that. It personally doesn't bother me. And I know it doesn't bother a lot of my friends. Is it a little bit uncomfortable? Sure. But at least where I'm at, a lot of times I'm standing most of the time.
Yeah,
so I guess
my
I
thing
don't
too.
care. If you're older, you might have an argument there. But again, I just think if you want to throw everything in the football, you can go nuts. But if you start winning, then we can actually do, some really major stuff without having to lose seats. And even if you want to go with the process of losing seats, it still costs just an absolute ton of money. So I'm okay with putting this stuff on pause, and let's just think about it before we go gung-ho. So there are a couple disgruntled people wanting to settle that. And like I said, I don't care. You guys can chime in if you're positive or negative. I always like hearing from you, whatever the matter is. Let's talk more, though, about Troy Dannon, not Trev Dannon. I almost mixed the two 80s together. Troy Dannon talks about the full revenue share here. Some more money talk from the guy himself, athletic director.
Nebraska, we are paying the full $20.5 million that's permitted by the settlement this year to the athletes, or committing that to the athletes. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. For sports, football, men's and women's basketball, and volleyball are allocated a cash pool from that 20.5. And I'm not going to talk about the numbers that are, and I don't think anybody in the country is talking about the numbers that's going sport by sport. I don't think anything's out of probably whack with what happens in most places. When the coaches get that pool of money, they decide who gets what and how much, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, whatever the contract terms are with the individual athletes.
Okay, so it cuts off there. It kind of goes on a ramble there, but there's the quick intro, kind of giving you again what this house settlement, what it looks like. I mean, he goes on later. We don't have time to play the full audio clip, but really talking to his third-party collectors, 1890 about, don't get super over worried about the College Sports Commission with all this stuff. It's been around for a couple of months. It's all pretty new yet. So there's gonna be a lot of turbulence trying to figure this stuff out. And he said the same thing. He compared it to sports. He's like, when you get a new head coach, or basically, if you're expecting fireworks right off the bat, you're overly optimistic. There's a lot of challenges within this. But really, just playing all these quotes, and unfortunately, we're running out of time for more. So far, I just think Troy Dannon has done an excellent job. Like, he's really impressed me as the athletic director. What are your thoughts on, I think a lot of people were disappointed, shocked by Trev Alberts, and especially where Trev Alberts ended up going. But then Troy Dannon from Washington, I think a lot of people have been pleasantly surprised about the fact that it's actually much better than what it has been with Trev Alberts. And this, I'm not trying to slam Trev Alberts so much, but I'm really trying to tip my cap to Dannon, and time will tell. But as of now, I think he's been killing it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, and he did a very good job at Washington. I mean, and I think the thing that I really liked about him was you almost didn't know who he was. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like there are some ADs that are very, very out there, very flashy, and Dannon just I kind of felt like it was kept his head down, did the work, and did a good job. You know, he was AD at Tulane before, and I mean, Tulane, you know, he was how do I word this? If you're just looking at football, everywhere he goes, success happens. I mean,
Yeah.
Tulane, when he was there, that's when they went 12-2 and won the Cotton Bowl, and then went to Washington, went to the national championship. Now he's here. And, you know, I don't think at any of those programs, people really knew all that well who he was. But
Not until after the fact. Then once they
no,
left,
exactly.
they're like, oh no.
Yeah, and now look at Tulane now. Like they're fine,
Mhm.
but like they lost Willie Fritz like immediately after he left. You know, and now Washington obviously is pretty down on football. You know, more time will tell, but it's like I think he just very quietly comes in, does his work, and does a good job. And I like what he's doing. I've been very, very pleased with him in the short time that he's been here.
Yeah, and with all the athletes I talked to, the most impressive thing, because all ADs are a little bit different. You know, we've had some ADs that kind of just hung out in the shadows, and you believe they were working, but they weren't very vocal on what they were working on.
Right.
You know, kind of like the Bill Moose era. We've had some ADs were just silent in the background. Jeff Alberts was a little bit more vocal, but then what I noticed with all the athletes, every single athlete that I've spoken to is at least at some point in time had a conversation with Troy Dannon. And like that's impressive, you know, because again, we're not having just football players on here. I mean, we're talking the boulders, rifle team, tennis. Like he makes himself available. And again, that's what the athletic director should do. I think sometimes the athletic director falls into the trap of, well, this one makes money. This is my only. If I take care of this, nothing else matters. You have to take care of that. It absolutely does matter, but your job is the athletic director. So you need to get everything else in a row as well. And then it just has some really good messages. It's about winning. And he puts his own coaches in the heat of it. And he's like, that is the mission. And if you don't think you can do it, get out. And like, that's a good AD. That's a leader. He's going to put you to the fire. If they're going to pay you all this money, he expects you to win.
Yeah.
You're going to put all this money into the facilities. We're going to have the best nutrition. You know, hard pressed to find a better university right now who's going to have a better training table and like all the rehab tools that we have to become the best athlete possible. If you have the tools for you to become the best athletes possible, then the coaches should be able to use the athletes and really coach them and make sure that they're utilizing all that stuff to put out these winning teams.
And that's the thing is, you know, especially in my time at Missouri, you know, I go to a lot more non-revenue sports than I ever did in Nebraska. It doesn't matter how nice the stadium is, what cool promotions you have, you know, how big the names are. If you're not winning, people aren't going to show up. People aren't going to pour money into the team. People aren't going to care. And I mean, you know, I noticed that. I've really noticed that with volleyball. I mean, my first year, nobody showed up. And then the second year, they started winning games. People poured in.
Yeah.
You know, saw the inverse happen with softball this year. You know, this was their worst season in a long time and people didn't show up. You know, doesn't matter that Mizzou Softball Stadium, I think, is the nicest one there. Doesn't matter that they have some of the coolest promotions. Doesn't matter all of the big recruits they have. You're not winning. People aren't going to care.
Yep. And that's just the matter of it. Except you're in Nebraska. You can win 3 games and people show up. But I will say it was hanging on the edge of people feeling apathetic.
Yeah.
Like, even me personally, like I'm such a diehard that I would go. But I mean, you do 5 more years of that, apathy really starts to set in. And people
100%.
start to just, you know, if say basketball, Fred Hoiberg figures it out. Pretty soon people are going to be more tuned into that.
Oh,
and they'll watch the first few games of Husker football. And if it starts falling apart, it'll always be big. It'll always sell, but it'll certainly lose its luster for the fans that are a little more casual than the rest. So I think Dan's been doing a wonderful job. And like I said, we'll play probably more of him. Also, Matt Rule. Talk more Husker football here. I'll go solo for the next hour. Don't go anywhere. 93.7 The Ticket. Ticket Weeknights.